The year was 605 BC, and the setting sun cast a blood-red hue over the crumbling limestone walls of Jerusalem, signaling the end of an era. The air was thick with the acrid smoke of burning cedar and the metallic scent of blood as the armies of Babylon breached the city gates. Amidst the chaos and the screams of the defeated, a young man named Daniel stood silent and stoic, watching his world turn to ash. He was not merely a citizen, but a member of the royal family of Judah, raised in silk and wisdom, now bound in the rough hemp ropes of captive. King Nebuchadnezzar, the architect of this destruction, sat atop his golden chariot, his eyes scanning the captives not for slaves, but for potential assets. The long march from the Judean hills to the flat, sun-baked plains of Babylon was a journey of tears, where every step took Daniel further from the temple of his God. Upon arriving in the great city of Babylon, the sheer scale of the Ishtar Gate, with its blue-glazed bricks and reliefs of dragons and bulls, threatened to swallow the young Hebrew's whole. Ashpenaz, the chief court official, inspected the line of young men with a critical eye, looking for those without physical defect, handsome, and showing aptitude for every kind of learning. Daniel, along with his three closest friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, was selected from the masses to enter the king's personal academy. To strip them of their identity, Ashpenaz stripped them of their names, the very sounds that connected them to their heritage and their God. Daniel was named Belteshazzar, a name invoking a Babylonian deity, while Hananiah became Shadrach, Mishael became Meshach, and Azariah became Abednego. The palace was a sensory overload of exotic perfumes, the sound of lyres, and tables groaning under the weight of meat sacrificed to idols and wine poured out to false gods. A dilemma immediately gripped Daniel's heart. For to eat the king's food was to partake in a covenant with pagan deities, a defilement he could not abide. With a courage that belied his youth, Daniel approached Ashpenaz, requesting permission to abstain from the royal delicacies in favor of simple vegetables and water. Ashpenaz looked at the young man with pity and fear, whispering that if the king saw them looking pale or thin, it would cost the official his very head. Daniel proposed a test, a 10-day challenge where faith would be measured against the rich diet of the empire. When the 10 days ended, Ashpenaz was astounded to find that their skin glowed with health and their eyes shone with a vitality that the other trainees lacked. God had honored their conviction, granting them not just physical health, but knowledge and understanding that surpassed the wisest men in the empire by 10 times. Years passed, and the weight of the crown began to press heavily on King Nebuchadnezzar, manifesting in nightmares that clawed at his sanity. One morning, the king awoke in a cold sweat, the terror of a dream lingering. Yet the details had vanished from his mind like mist in the morning sun. He summoned the magicians, enchanters, and astrologers, demanding they not only interpret the dream, but recount the dream itself to prove their power. The wise men trembled, explaining that no human could crawl inside a man's mind to see his dreams, a request that was impossible for anyone but the gods. In a fit of paranoid rage, Nebuchadnezzar ordered the execution of all the wise men in Babylon, a decree that included Daniel and his friends. When the captain of the guard came to arrest him, Daniel spoke with wisdom and tact, asking for a stay of execution to seek the answer from the God of heaven. That night, the four friends knelt on the stone floor of their chamber, pleading for mercy, and in the silence of the night, the mystery was unveiled to Daniel in a vision. Daniel stood before the king the next day, declaring that while no astrologer could reveal the mystery, there was a God in heaven who reveals secrets. He described the king's dream in vivid detail. A colossal statue with a head of gold, chest of silver, belly of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of mixed iron and clay. The king sat forward, gripping the arms of his throne, as Daniel described a rock cut without human hands, smashing the statue and growing into a mountain that filled the earth. As Daniel explained that the statue represented the rise and fall of earthly empires, and the rock was God's eternal kingdom, Nebuchadnezzar fell prostrate in awe. Yet, pride is a weed that grows back quickly. Soon after, Nebuchadnezzar erected a golden statue 90 feet high on the plain of Dura. The decree went out that at the sound of the horn, flute, zither, and lyre, every knee must bow to the golden image or face the fiery furnace. On the day of dedication, the music swelled and thousands of bodies hit the dust in worship, creating a sea of submission. Only three figures remained standing, upright pillars of defiance amidst the prostrate crowd: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Jealous astrologers rushed to the king, their voices dripping with malice as they accused the three Jews of treason and disrespect. Nebuchadnezzar's face twisted with fury, and he offered them one last chance to bow, mocking that no God could rescue them from his hands. The three friends responded with calm resolve, stating that their God was able to save them. But even if he did not, they would never bow to an idol. The king ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual, the heat so intense it killed the soldiers who threw the bound men into the flames. Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in shock, peering into the roaring fire, for he saw not 3 men bound, but 4 men walking freely. The fourth figure in the fire shone with a divine light, looking like a son of the gods, untouched by the consuming heat. When called out, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego emerged without a single hair singed, and they did not even carry the scent of smoke. The king once again praised their God, but his heart remained tethered to his own glory, leading to yet another warning dream. He saw a tree that touched the sky, sheltering the world, only to be cut down by a holy messenger, leaving a stump bound in iron and bronze. Daniel, visibly distressed by the meaning, warned the king that he would be driven from society to live as a beast until he acknowledged God's sovereignty. 12 months later, as Nebuchadnezzar walked on his palace roof boasting of his great Babylon, the judgment fell instantly from the heavens. His mind fractured, and for 7 years, the most powerful man on earth roamed the fields, eating grass like an ox, his hair matted like eagle feathers. Only when he lifted his eyes to heaven and humbled his heart was his sanity restored, proving that heaven rules over the kingdoms of men. Decades passed, Nebuchadnezzar died, and his grandson Belshazzar ascended to a throne that was rotting from the inside. Belshazzar threw a lavish banquet for 1,000 nobles, and in a drunken stupor, he ordered the sacred vessels from Jerusalem's temple to be used for wine. As they toasted their idols of wood and stone with the holy chalices, the laughter died instantly as the fingers of a human hand appeared. The disembodied hand carved four words into the plaster of the wall, the scratching sound echoing in the terrified silence of all. The king's knees knocked together in fear, and once again, the Queen Mother advised summoning the aged Daniel, the forgotten solver of riddles. Daniel, now an old man with silver hair, refused the king's gifts and read the writing. Mean, tekel, parsin. He pronounced the judgment. God has numbered your days. You have been weighed in the balance and found wanting, and your kingdom is divided. That very night, the diversion of the Euphrates River allowed the Medes and Persians to slip under the gates, and Belshazzar was slain in his palace. Darius the Mede took the throne, and recognizing Daniel's exceptional spirit, he planned to set him over the entire kingdom. Envy is a poison that infects the ambitious, and the other administrators plotted to destroy Daniel, but they could find no corruption in him. They realized Daniel's only vulnerability was his unwavering devotion to his God, so they manipulated Darius into signing an irrevocable decree. For 30 days, anyone who prayed to any god or man except the king would be thrown into the den of lions. Daniel heard the decree, yet he went home, opened his windows toward Jerusalem, and knelt to pray 3 times a day, just as he had always done. The conspirators caught him in the act and dragged him before the king, who was heartbroken to realize he had been tricked into condemning his best friend. Though Darius tried until sundown to find a loophole, the law of the Medes and Persians could not be changed, and Daniel was cast into the pit. A stone was rolled over the mouth of the den, sealing Daniel in the darkness with beasts that had been starved to ensure their ferocity. King Darius spent a sleepless night fasting, refusing all entertainment, his mind tormented by the fate of the righteous man. At the first light of dawn, the king ran to the den and called out in an anguished voice, hoping against hope. A calm voice replied from the darkness, declaring that God had sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths because he was innocent. Daniel was lifted out without a scratch, while his accusers were thrown in, meeting a swift and brutal end before they even hit the floor. From a destruction of Jerusalem to the courts of foreign kings, Daniel's life stood as a testament that faith is the ultimate victory.